Australian Open 2026, January 18th schedule. Top seeds Alcaraz Sabalenka in action on opening day. World number 1 and two-time champion Aryna Sabalenka faces French wildcard Tiansoa Rikotomanga on the opening day of Australian Open 2026 in Melbourne on Sunday. Carlos Alcaraz, men's world number 1 and top seed, takes on local hope Adam Walton as he begins his campaign for a maiden title in Melbourne to complete the career Grand Slam. Two-time Australian Open runner-up Venus Williams, awarded a wildcard, will create history as the oldest woman to play in the singles main draw at a major when the 45-year-old American faces Serbia's Olga Danilovic. Women's singles, Q. Alexandra Sasnovich vs. 7. Jasmine Paolini, ITA. 6 a.m. IST. Men's singles, 3. Alexander Zverev, GER. vs. Gabriel Diallo, CAN. Women's singles, 1. Aryna Sabalenka vs. WC. Tiansoa Rikotomanga FRA. 1:30 p.m. IST. Men's singles, 1. Carlos Alcaraz, ESP. vs. Adam Walton, AUS. Margaret Court Arena. Women's singles, Maria Sakkari, GRE. vs. Leolia Jean FOA. 6 a.m. IST. Men's singles, 18. Francisco Cerundolo, ARG. vs. Jijin Zhong, CHN. Men's singles, 10. Alexander Bublik, KAZ. vs. Jensen Brooksby, USA. 1:30 p.m. IST. Women's singles, Menenchaya Sawankayu vs. 28. Emma Raducanu, GBR. John Cain Arena. Men's singles, Q. Arthur Furry, GBR. vs. 20. Flavio Caboli, ITA. 5:30 a.m. IST. Women's singles, 12. Alina Svitolina, UKR. vs. Christina Buxa, ESP. Not before 8 a.m. IST. Men's singles, 29. Francis Tiafoe, USA. vs. Q. Jason Kubler, AUS. 11:30 a.m. IST. Women's singles, Olga Danilovic, SIB. vs. WC. Venus Williams, USA. Kia Arena. Women's singles, WC. Talia Gibson, AUS. vs. Anna Blinkova. 5:30 a.m. IST. Men's singles, Tristan Skulkate, AUS. vs. 32. Corentin Moutet, FRA. Men's singles, Q. Michael Zheng, USA. vs. Sebastian Korda, USA. Not before 10 a.m. IST. Women's singles, Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova vs. Q. Neshwishwan by CHN. 1573 Arena. Men's singles, Maimai Kekmanovic, SRB. vs. Thomas Martin Echeverry, ARG. 5:30 a.m. IST. Women's singles, 11. Ekaterina Alexandrova vs. Q. Zeynep Sonmez, TUR. Men's singles, Benjamin Bonzi, FRA. vs. 26. Cameron Norrie, GBR. ANZ Arena. Women's singles, 26. Diana Yastremska, UKR. vs. Elena Gabriela Ruse, AOU. 5:30 a.m. IST. Women's singles, Ilsa Jackmot, FRA. vs. 20. Marta Kostiak, UKR. Men's singles, Camilo Hugo Carabelli, ARG. vs. Martin Fusovics, HUN. Women's singles, Susan Lemons, NED. vs. Anastasia Potapova, AUT. Court 6. Women's singles, Yulia Putintseva, KAZ. vs. Beatriz Haddad-Meyer, BRA. 5:30 a.m. IST. Men's singles, Emilio Nova, USA. vs. WC. Kirian Jeke, FRA. Men's singles, Yannick Hanfman, GER. vs. Q. Zachary Svajda, USA. Court 7. Men's singles, WC. Patrick Gibson, USA. vs. Francisco Kamsana, ARG. 8:30 a.m. IST. Women's singles, Paulina Kudermetova, UZB. vs. Q. Guillaume Maristini Zaleta de Reales, ESP. Court 8. Women's singles, Katie McNally, USA. vs. Q. Himino Sakitsum, JPN. 7:30 a.m. IST. Men's singles, Q. Liam Draxel, CAN. vs. Demid Zuma, BIH. Court 13. Women's singles, Haley Baptiste, USA. vs. 32. Maketa Vondrasova, CZE. 8:30 a.m. IST. Men's singles, LL Alexander Blocks, BEL. vs. Q. Jamie Farrier, POR. The first golden rays of an Australian summer glide across Melbourne Park on January 18, 2026, as tennis's epic odyssey, the Australian Open, opens its gates for the 114th edition of tennis's happiest slam. The air is electric, faint with heat, anticipation, and the muted thrum of tennis balls twanging on practice courts. This is the moment when ambition meets destiny, where once quiet dreams break into loud reality. Across the broad expanse of hard courts, from the Grand Rod Lava Arena to the intimate Margaret Court and down to the bustling outer courts, players, coaches, fans, and hopeful juniors converge. For 15 days, this oasis in Melbourne will be the world center of tennis gravity, and January 18th, the first day, will be its initial heartbeat. Glowing star setting the stage, the opening day narrative. Opening day isn't just another scheduled date on the calendar. It is the first chapter in a story of resilience, rivalry, hope, and raw athletic poetry. The crowd is a swirl of flags, fan shirts, and painted faces, a global mosaic. Children clutch tennis balls for autographs. Journalists pinch the edges of their notebooks. Cameras hover like buzzing insects. Inside, players are engaged in their own internal dialogues, punctuated only by deep breaths and focused footsteps. Among the throng of competitors, two names rise above all others on this opening Sunday: Carlos Alcaraz and Aryna Sabalenka, the world's top seeds in the men's and women's draws. They are not just competitors today, they are the storyline, the emotional anchor, the first peaks of this grand event. Spanish Carlos Alcaraz, a quest for completion. If 2026 were a novel, Carlos Alcaraz would be on its first pages, pen poised over a yet blank chapter titled The Missing Title. At just 22 years old, Alcaraz carries not only the hopes of Spain but an entire generation's hopes on his broad shoulders. Despite multiple Grand Slam victories already, the Australian Open remains the trophy that eludes him. He stands at the top of the men's draw like a young hero at the threshold of mythic terrain, poised and hungry. Across from him, on opening day, will be Australia's own Adam Walton, a spirited local hope. It is the classic clash, the world's best against the home underdog. The energy in Rod Lava Arena crackles. Fans are on their feet even before the first ball is struck. Alcaraz, recently navigating a split with his longtime coach, seems to carry a new kind of steely self-belief, tempered by maturity beyond his years. The match isn't just about the first round. It's about establishing presence, announcing intent, and firing the first salvo in his quest to complete the coveted career Grand Slam. His movement is poetry on hard courts, explosive and elegant, a fusion of power and grace. In his mind, this tournament is not just another event, it's where legacy beckons. Should he succeed here, it would rewrite his personal story and redefine the opening chapter of the 2026 season for men's tennis. Belarus Aryna Sabalenka, the Queen of Melbourne. On the women's side, Aryna Sabalenka, the world's #1 and a formidable force on hard courts, stands resolute. She embodies raw power and precise aggression, a player whose strikes are thunderclaps and whose movement is relentless. Sabalenka has lifted the Australian Open trophy before, and in 2026 she returns not just as a competitor but as one of the tournament's queens. Across the net on day one will be a lesser-known but dangerous French wildcard, Tianzua Rakotomanga Rajaona, the classic cannon fodder underdog who can become a narrative wildcard on his own right. Sabalenka's match is not merely about winning, it's about reaffirming her dominance, setting a tone of authority, and tapping into that rare blend of confidence and ferocity that decides matches before the score is even written. Sabalenka steps onto the court amid thunderous applause, her signature serve already a promise of forceful action. The crowd senses that this is not just a match, it's the opening beat of a drum that will echo through the 2 weeks, a testament to Sabalenka's intent to conquer Melbourne once more.